Hi everyone. Considering Star Trek Discovery is coming out very soon, I thought I'd make a video explaining what Star Trek is and how to watch it. It's not like this is the first YouTube channel to talk about Star Trek. There's a lot of YouTube channels out there, but I feel like every YouTube channel talking about Star Trek is kind of addressing Star Trek fans already. Or it's just some sort of BuzzFeed channel trying to surf off the wave but don't really know what they're talking about. So before we get into what Star Trek Discovery is, let's talk about Star Trek in general. Star Trek is currently made up of 6 TV shows and 13 movies, and that can be pretty intimidating. But don't be scared, that's what this video is for. I'm going to try and make things simple. The 6 television series in order of their release goes Star Trek, the original series, Star Trek, the animated series, Star Trek, the Next Generation, Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, Star Trek, Voyager, and then Star Trek, Enterprise. And then there's the movies. The first 6 are with the original series cast, the next 4 are with the TNG cast, the Next Generation cast, and the 3 latest ones are kind of a reboot. I don't call them reboot, I call them Kelvin Timeline, but we can get into that some other time. So the big question is, what do you watch before Discovery comes out? Well, nothing. You don't need to watch any of the current content. Star Trek Discovery is part of the universe, and it will be canon just as much as all the rest. But you don't need the rest to understand Star Trek Discovery. On the contrary, what they're trying to do is introduce you to the universe with Star Trek Discovery. Now, of course, if you are interested in watching Star Trek content before Star Trek Discovery comes out, keep in mind you probably won't have time to finish all of it. Here are the 3 possible ways you can actually watch Star Trek content. The first one is to watch it by its original air date, which means you begin with TOS, the original series, you continue with TAS, the animated series, then TNG, the Next Generation, then DS9, Deep Space Nine, then Voyager, VOY, and Enterprise, ENT. If you want to watch the shows that way, I'll put some links in the description that will actually explain to you how to watch them, because DS9 started while TNG was still running. It was in its 6th season, and then Voyager started while DS9 was still running. DS9 was in its 3rd season, so we kind of had 2 episodes a week going on, kind of like the Arrowverse is doing today. Concerning all of the films, watch them in order. The best thing is to actually look at when they were released and compare that to when the seasons were released, and just kind of watch them as you go. The Kelvin Timeline films, you can pretty much watch whenever you want, after the original series and the first 4 original series movies. Then there's the second way, which is the chronological order. The chronological order is a bit more difficult because if you really want every event to actually take place in the correct order, you're gonna have to go digging on Star Trek forums, Star Trek blogs, Star Trek posts lying around on the internet. But to simplify the chronological order, you're gonna start with Enterprise, then watch the original series, the animated series, the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. All the movies in the same order as before. The third way to watch Star Trek content is kind of cherry picking whatever you want to see. Now, that might not be a Star Trek fan favorite, but that's probably what I would recommend, at least before Discovery comes out. See, the thing is, every show has its own specific kind of vibe, and it has its own kind of theme. And so depending on what you're interested in, I would recommend one of those shows. Now I can make another video kind of explaining what every theme of every show is, kind of give you an idea where you're going, but I would definitely recommend doing that. Pick the show that appeals to you the most, watch that show before Discovery comes out. There's no correct entry point into Star Trek, there's just so much content and the world is so immense that you can really enter wherever you want. Star Trek resonates on a million different levels, and everyone can relate with Star Trek in a different way. That's the beauty of it. That's why it doesn't really matter what television series you start with. Now concerning Star Trek Discovery, it's a prequel to the original series, but it is happening after Enterprise, which is also a prequel to the original series. But as CBS have been saying, it's an entry point to Star Trek, just as much as any other television series. You don't need to see the other content before you start watching Star Trek Discovery. Okay, so that's it. That was kind of an overview of what Star Trek is, how to watch it. I didn't really go into any specifics. If you want specifics, feel free to ask. If you want me to do any kind of video talking about Star Trek, really, feel free to leave a comment. Tell me what you want. I really want to make a YouTube channel for new Star Trek fans, people that want to get into Star Trek. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and tell your friends. There's a new channel telling you about Star Trek. You don't have to know about Star Trek to understand what's going on here. And remember, live long and prosper.